Good morning everyone and welcome to Manchester. We are here for day one of the Manchester 2023 Allianz Paraswimming World Championships right here at the newly refurbished Manchester Aquatic Centre. I'm Paul Noble, I'll be taking you through the action for this week of competition. Really looking forward to it. Joined as always in the commentary box by Liz Johnson. Morning Liz.
Morning Paul.
Good day of action ahead. It's heats all the way this morning, of course. Everyone trying to make their way into one of those World Championship finals tonight. We've got 67 nations taking part in this competition this week. 542 swimmers and 169 world champions to crown, Liz. 169 titles up for grabs.
Yep, 26 of those will be crowned tonight. So it's a busy first day, lots of action. It's exciting. I'm glad we're inside, not outside. The weather's pretty bad here in Manchester. But
didn't they say Manchester was the wettest city in the UK, or is that a myth?
Well, I lived here and I think so, but actually, on paper it's Cardiff, and I've lived there too, and I disagree with the statistics that exist in the world.
Well, we're indoors, as you said. So here is what the action we're going to be looking forward to today. 400 freestyle S8. Followed by the couple hundred breaststroke events for the SB9 classifications. Visually impaired swimmers go in the S13, 100 butterfly, and then going through the session we work our way through SB2 breaststroke, 100 backstroke for the men and women S6. S14 swimmers get their first outing in the 200 freestyle. The S11 races for those swimmers with no vision at all. The S11s, always exciting events for us to look forward to. And we finish with the fast swimmers, the S10 swimmers, those with a minimal impairment. They go in that final race. There's the two Italians, there's the call room, and it looks like swimmers, it's always nervous in that call room, isn't it, Liz?
Yeah, it's a really different environment, and there's ladies just giving her instructions. Very strict timelines in the call room as the officials make their way onto poolside. But you said the call room is an interesting place because, especially if it's your first meet, because they try and build the atmosphere in there and it can be a bit stressful, but it can also be a really nice place to be calm just before you go out to the start list.
What's that quite a big area in that little kind of gazebo almost at the back? It's quite a big area, isn't it, for a call room?
Yeah, so they try to have the three races prior, 20 minutes you've got to get to the call room before your race, so but they want enough room to be able to stretch and exercise as well, like warm up. So
there's our technical officials, of course. Great to see them support the championship as well. A lot of the GB officials who support the events the length and breadth of the country here in the UK. Also many international officials coming in for these championships as well. So they do a great job, technical officials. We are lucky to have them here for the sport. And we will get underway for the very first race of this championships, and it's the 400 freestyle S8. As I said, heats all the way. 2 heats of this one for us to enjoy first up. And the S8 classification, well, just a brief explanation of the classification system. S1 to S10 are for those swimmers with a physical impairment, with S1 being the most impaired and S10 being the least impaired. So the S8 swimmers right almost quite close to the top end of that range. You see the S10s a little bit later on, those with a minimal impairment. S11 to 13, those with visual impairment, with S11 having no vision at all. S12 to 13 with those with varying degrees of partial sight, and S14 are for those with an intellectual impairment. So all the classifications will be on display here today. Tends to be that, Liz, isn't it? All the classifications certainly have one event per day. Some have 2 as well.
yeah, some double up, and after these 8s we'll see the SB9s go in, and they've got double some of them today.
There's the crowd here coming in for the morning. And there's the swimmers coming out for this very first event, the S8. And the lineup for this heat one, we've got 5 swimmers in this first heat, 6 swimmers in the second heat. They've got to go down to 8 for the final, so we have to lose 3 swimmers from these 2 heats. There is Palazzo from Italy. She'll be very much the favourite for this one, the World Championship silver medalist from Italy. And I'm sure we're going to be talking a lot about the Italian team this week, Liz.
Yeah, as we say, they've got such depth. You talk about all those different events with lots of different classification groups, and the Italians have really built their squad over recent times, and we'll see a lot of their stars go right from the off here this morning.
Ella Jones from Australia, we just saw her there, going from the block there in lane number 5. Just being steadied on the block, of course. A lot of these swimmers can have assistance from their coaches on the blocks, not allowed obviously to add propulsion, not allowed to push your swimmers in to get them a better start, but they can be steadied on the blocks by the coaching staff, and we saw some good examples of that in that very first heat.
Yeah, and through the week we'll see a range of different starting techniques, different impairment types lend themselves to finding what works best for you, and I think that's where we see so many gains quite often. It's a lot of para athletes, they've been doing a specific technique and then they come to a meet that's more diverse and they see that people try new things and they try those things and it has an impact on the way that they do it. But this Jones is going well down here, down his first length this morning.
Yeah, it's pretty tight from the others, but Ella Jones has gone out pretty fast here. These early stages, the 22-year-old Ella Jones went to Commonwealth Games last year. She's at the World Championships the last time it was held in the UK, and that was London in 2019. Palazzo in second position there, just as they go down towards this first 100. So we are looking at the pool on your screen. Lane 1 will be at the bottom of your screen, and lane 8 will be right at the top there. That will be the view that we will have for all the events in this particular World Championships. But Ella Jones started off really well. They're looking very comfortable in the early stages.
Yeah, she's taken this one out strong. She seems to have settled into her stroke now as we go through the 125 metre mark. Palazzo, you can see, pulling away from the rest of the field. Those 2 athletes don't need to do a heat here this morning. Like I said, Palazzo, second fastest qualifier into this based on this year's times. And so from lane 4 you can control these races a little more and save yourself. And Palazzo does very well at going into the final and really stepping up. So she'll let Ella Jones lead this one out. She won't want to let her get too far ahead because you can help to have a good lane for the final so you don't get taken by surprise from someone going in an outside lane that you didn't spot. So, but Ella Jones looking comfortable. She slowed down a lot here now. She used that first 100 to get out in front. She sort of settled into her pace. You can see the stroke rate has slowed, her arms are moving slowly, but she's getting good length per stroke with each arm pull. Palazzo has a higher stroke rate, the Italian in the blue hat behind, as they come into the 200 metre mark.
Yeah, this event is kind of wide open, isn't it? Because it's been dominated by the Americans previously. Alice Tai won it in 2019. But apart from that, you've got to go all the way back to 2002 before you find a non-American winning this one. So really wide open, this one.
Yeah, it's a real opportunity for one of these athletes to take the crown. Jessica Long, not swimming. She starts her campaign on day 3. The Great American and Morgan Stickney no longer swimming in this classification. So it does open the door for someone to take the gold medal in this, and Ella Jones is looking to put herself in a good lane draw tonight to give herself the opportunity to be potentially the person that does that. Palazzo just going over now. So there's a 6-second gap between the front 2 at this stage, but like we said, as long as they get through cleanly, they shouldn't have a problem booking a lane for the final tonight.
Yeah, well, you've only got to lose 3, so the top 2 guaranteed a place in that final for this women's 400 freestyle S8. And Ella Jones has swum this well. Got an entry time of 5:13. That's the fastest time that she has done this year. That was on the Gold Coast back in April. So I wonder if she's going to just challenge that one. She's looking very comfortable indeed, isn't she?
Yeah, she's looking like she set herself up well. I think you can swim a 400 meters freestyle so many different ways. You can get yourself out quickly. You can pace each 100 pretty evenly, or you can build through and finish strongly, which is what Palazzo looks like she's trying to do. She's definitely away from the rest of the field. She's out of danger in terms of getting the touch, because like you said, we do have to lose 3 people to progress to the final. And the thing with swimming is it's not certain people in certain heats, it is the 8 fastest qualifiers. So you can have everybody from one heat go through and then only a few people from another heat. So you can't really just jostle for position.
Yeah, you just don't know what the second heat are going to do, and they'll have the advantage of knowing what the times in this first heat are. Just a little bit of a raise of the head there for Ella Jones as she goes down towards the final few strokes of this one. It is Palazzo clear in second position. Abby Tripp from Canada, experienced Canadian, going in third. But here comes Ella Jones into the wall, and that is the fastest time she's done this year. She'll be delighted with that start to her campaign. 5:12.55. Palazzo comfortably in second position. On the silver in both the last 2 World Championships. Abby Tripp in third place. And that could be an important touch there, Liz. She's getting ahead of Paolo Novina. And Zhu, the young Chinese swimmer, finishing in 5th position. So, great swim from Ella Jones. She looks delighted with that, didn't she?
Yeah, she should. I think that's all you can do is bring your fastest times of the year to these major meets. And she'd be, and also in that position, once those results are confirmed, then she knows she's in the final. There's not that, like you said, that nervous weight of 3rd, 4th place. She just started well. She signalled her intent right from the start. And I don't know if she'd get it all her own way like that. I don't know if Palazzo would let her go off quite that quick independently in the final. But, you know, you've got to be in it to win it. And she's done that job.
You've got to expect that Palazzo's going to go a little bit faster in the final. But Ella Jones was delighted with that one, and a great start for the Australian. She guarantees her place in the final. Palazzo in second also will be in that final. Abby Tripp looking in a good position there in 3rd position, and Novina, she might just be in 4th place. So good swim from the Croatian in 4th position, and we're on to the second heat now. Lane number 2 down at the bottom here. Ana Castro from Portugal. We've got Paulo Rubalcaba Nunes going in lane 3 from Mexico. Right, Aya Zodea Barretzo from Spain in lane number 4. Cecilia Geronimo de Araujo from Brazil in 5. Vendela Doskova and Alexandra Borska, the 2 Czech swimmers. They go in 6 and 7. So, second heat, they've seen what the first heat have done. They're good start there from Geronimo Araujo from Brazil.
Swimming much like Ella Jones there from lane 5 out quickly, but Geronimo de Araujo, she is more of a sprint freestyler, so you can expect her to use that. That'll be easy speed for her down that first 100, as in like she'll struggle to go slow, if that makes sense. But as they all settle in to her race and her pace slows, you wouldn't expect her to hold that pace for the whole 400. She might, but typically you wouldn't expect that from her.
She's got a great record in the 50 and 100 freestyle over the years for the Brazilian team. Kind of made her debut back in Rio in 2016.
What a place to make a debut, eh?
Yeah.
Home Paralympic Games.
Yeah, we like to keep tabs on the home nations at these championships. Great Britain, of course, have a big squad. I think 28 swimmers from Great Britain, so one of the biggest squads here at the championships, as you would expect from the host nation. So they were looking for some good performance, get the crowd warmed up.
Yeah, and I think we can see through across the sports, and especially the swim team, the French team is growing all the time in preparation for next year in Paris. So there is definitely something about a home games that increases not only the participation of people, but the competitiveness of them as well, and the depth of the squad and the breadth of their squad.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it over the years, haven't we? China appearing, of course, a number of para-athletes when they were announced that they were going to get the Beijing Games back in 2008 as well. The Brazilians have a good squad as well, they built up. The Japanese team came from winning no gold medals at all, really, in Rio, to being very successful in the Tokyo Games, the delayed Tokyo Games. Of course, that's meant that this Paralympic cycle's a little bit condensed, isn't it? Paris already next year, Liz.
I know, and I think some of the athletes do feel like it has come around very quickly. And again, like we've talked about the legacy of sports in Spain, obviously with Barcelona in 1992, a lot of their athletes, they've got a great blend of experience, like extreme experience.
That's a good way of putting it. Extreme experience. People have been around for decades.
Yeah, and youth though, and but not only though, that youth steps up because of the quality of their old team. And as we can see now, Zoe has gone into the lead. She went into the lead just after the 200-meter mark. And she'll be an athlete here that senses this is a real opportunity in the absence of the Americans. A door has opened.
Yeah, you would have said that Zodobaretso and Palazzo were going to be the favourites to take this 400 crown. Ella Jones has put herself in the mix, of course. Geronimo Diaruscio still very much in the mix here as they come down to the 300 mark. So Zodobaretso will go over with that lead. Geronimo Diaruscio in second position. Third place, looks like it might be the Mexican Cabo Nunes. She's in fourth actually, Duskova in third position, the Czech swimmer. So these top four looking pretty good for that place in that final tonight, Liz.
Yeah, and Duskova's definitely wound up her stroke there in lane 6. Like she's got a quicker arm stroke than the others. She swims with leg drag, so that you don't have that break in the cycle of your stroke. So in order to keep the momentum and the power moving forward, you have to have that stronger stroke rate, so that there's no pause for you to drop and drag, if that makes sense. So you can see that rate, but actually she's picked up the pace to the point where she is catching Geronimo Diaruscio, and she's having a good. We've heard there's a number of different ways to swim a 400, and Duskova, and also sometimes your impairment determines how you swim a race as well, not just your training.
Yeah, of course, yeah. All the different impairments we will see as we go through these championship races. We're into the S8 classification to start with, and here comes Zodobaretso. Good contest for second here. I think they'll both achieve a place in that final. Zodobaretso will be the fastest into that final though. Oh, look at that. Split just by 0.1 of a second. Duskova just getting the touch over Geronimo Diaruscio. They'll be safely into that final as well. 5:16 for the second and third position swimmers. And I think we're going to be 4 and 4, I think, when they go to that final, Liz, by the looks of things.
Yeah, and that's how you would, in a lot of sports, that's what you would naturally expect. But like we said, in swimming, it doesn't always work like that. And there is a slight advantage going in the second heat sometimes, because as you said, you can see the times that the first heat have gone.
So wait for confirmation of that result, but it looks like it has got to go to Spain. Ana Castro finishing in 5th place there for Portugal, Borska in 6th position, but the top 4, Zodobaretso, Duskova, Geronimo Diaruscio and Ruvalcaba Nunes, I think they'll qualify for the final. Look at a summary before to see if we confirm the top 8 finalists, but good start from Geronimo Diaruscio. Looked good in the early stages, and as you said, Liz, 1500 freestyle specialist, but the distance specialist is Zodobaretso. He's been in the Spanish team for a few years now. He's building up her experience. That's good. You know, she was a very young swimmer when she came into the team And she's just coming kind of into her prime now, isn't she, as an athlete?
Yeah, and I think that's the key. I think we'll see it from in other events from other nations as well. The Italians do it well, the Brazilians do it well, the Germans do it well. They break through youngsters, and then they end up winning heats and advancing to finals quickest.
In first position there, so now Brezzo will be in pole position. She'll be in the centre lane for that final. Ella Jones, great swim from the Australian. She'll have a chance of being in the medal podium. And it was 4 from the first heat and 4 from the second that'll get to that final. And now we go on to the SB9. So as we go through this championships, you see, of course, a number of events. We saw an S-class event in the 400. This is an SB event, which signifies that it's a breaststroke event. We've got a couple of swimmers not starting, 2 Iranians not taking the start, so that's made it a little bit easy in terms of qualification, or easier I should say, in terms of qualification for the swimmers that are left in it. It's almost like their information. They've got swimming with everyone swimming with spare lanes almost. There's 2 in the middle and a couple in the wings. So as you look for the line up there, Frederick Solberg closest to us in lane number 2. We have Hector Denaye from France, one of these young French swimmers you were talking about earlier, Les. He goes in lane number 4. Lima de Souza from Brazil in 5. And Sinestro from Argentina out there in lane number 7.
Yeah, we can see a good start from Solberg. He has a great 50 freestyle, and we saw him use that power off the block there to come up. And he looks like he will be leading at the turn. 32.40 for Solberg, ahead of Lima de Souza. In lane 5, coming through strongly now, and he's hit the front, the Brazilian.
Yeah, he was the champion back in 2017. Brazilian, he's already got a title in this one. Next to the young French swimmer Hector Denaye in lane number 4. Just coming through in the closing stages here. Saw him in the World Paris Series this year, and he's just coming up alongside the Brazilian. Good finish from the French swimmer here, and he gets in 1:10.95. Hector Denaye. Lima de Souza clear in second position in 1:11.35, and in third place was Solberg, 1:12.69. But there is the young man, Hector Denaye. Nice way to make his World Championship debut.
Yeah, he paced that really well. So, like I said, Solberg took them out. You can do that. You can let someone else lead you out and then build down the second 50. He'll be happy.
Yeah, he's definitely made his way into the final. 7 swimmers in that second heat, so the winner of that one guaranteed to be in the top 8. Then I really looked good in that second length there. Lima de Souza went out very strong, but I was strong. Nice power there from the Frenchman. 17-year-old getting the touch ahead of the 2017 world champion. Denaye in first position, Lima de Souza in second, Solberg and Sinestro will have a close eye on this second heat.
This is heat number 2.
So second heat is Escanilla Candia. We saw him in the call room a little bit earlier on. Menciotti from Italy in lane number 2, James LaRue from Canada. Stefano Raimondi, 6 gold medals last year to his name in the World Championships in Madeira. He goes in for Maurice Vetterkamp, silver medalist last year at those championships. He goes in 5. Strasic, Czech swimmer, goes in 6, and Cordeiro from Portugal out there in lane number 7.
But it is Vetterkamp at the moment going very well. Down in lane 5, he went into the turn first, but great underwater from Menciotti, but also from Strasic up there in 6. That brought him back level with the early race leader.
Yeah, Raimondi was in 6th place at the turn. Maybe not expecting to be there, but he's a very experienced campaigner, the Italian, in the centre lane, pulling himself through into 2nd position now. So Raimondi, the reigning world champion twice over. He won in 2019 and he won last year in Madeira. He comes in just behind his teammate there. So Menciotti in 2nd place ahead of Raimondi, but there is Maurice Vetterkamp. Great swim from the German. Silver medalist last year. And an excellent time, 1:09.42. 4th place was James Leroux. Should be safe enough into that final as well, alongside the 2 Italians and the Germans. Tanja Strasik in 5th position. I think he might just scrape in as well. And also in 6th place, Cordeiro from Portugal. Not sure if he's going to make it with 1:13.32, but Raimondi behind in that early stages of that bump, but showing his experience there. 6th place at the turn, Liz, coming through into 3rd.
Yeah, and he's got another race this afternoon. It's a difficult morning for him, well, a difficult day for him. He's got such a good program. He's so good across everything that he's really got to use his energy well, and he timed that, as you said, Paul, to perfection.
Maybe safely into the final. Won't be in one of the centre lanes, but he'll be close to the middle there. Vetterkamp, great swim from him. So the 2 youngsters, 2 17-year-olds, will progress to the final, I think, in the top 2 positions there. Vetterkamp and Denayer. 2 youngsters mixed in with the experienced campaigners there. Menciotti, Lima de Souza, Raimondi, they all make it into the final. Could be a cracker, that one. I think Cordeiro just in there in 8th place as well. That's good news for the Portuguese swimmer. And here is 100 meters breaststroke. Dani Jimenez, Lisa Kruger, Tatiana Lebrun, and Gabrielle Smith. So, Lisa Kruger, Paralympic champion back in 2016. She is out very fast in lane number 4. Tatiana Lebrun in 2nd position there. She goes in lane number 5. Two of these swimmers, medalists, of course, on the World Championships last year. Lisa Kruger looking very good in the opening stages here.
Yeah, Kruger hoping to do well at these championships. Earlier in the year, she had a bit of a setback in that she needed a foot surgery, but she wasn't out too long. And actually, the training that she's done since returning has been really, really good. She's really happy with it, so she's coming in to this meet positive and focused and really wants to lay down a marker. She is going well here, but Lebrun has improved year on year in recent times, and she's coming back now in these heats.
Yeah, she certainly is. Pulling up alongside Lisa Kruger. Tatiana Lebrun is going to be in 2nd though. Lisa Kruger has got this one under control, 1:16.53. And again, 4 in this heat, Liz, and just 5 in the 2nd heat. So they're only going to lose 1 swimmer. Lisa Kruger, Tatiana Lebrun, and Gabriella Smith will be safely into that final. In 4th place, Dani Jimenez will have to wait for that 2nd heat in 1:21.25. But Lisa Kruger looking happy with that one. 1:16.53 for her to take that one. All smiles from Lisa Kruger.
Yeah, it's a really good look. Like I said, she's in a good place. I think sometimes when you get an injury that you weren't expecting, then when you get an injury that you weren't expecting, it can have the opposite effect and set you back. But sometimes it gives you the rest you need to refocus, rethink, and work on other stuff. And as we can see, she's looking strong. I mean, the Dutch have been dominant in this SB9 100 meters breaststroke for a long time. We'll see her teammate coming up in the next heat. But yeah, Kruger looked strong there.
Yeah, very good swim from Lisa Kruger. Tatiana Lebrun in 2nd, Gabrielle Smith in 3rd place, and Dani Jimenez we were talking to a little bit earlier this morning.
We were, she popped by.
Yeah.
We're in a prime
shape.
position for people to pop by.
We
Too many
are,
people
actually.
pop by.
Too many people are wandering around us. Let's hope we can continue to see the pool during these races. Here's the second heat, so they know what they've got to do. Schmidt in lane number 2 for the USA. Brock Whiston from Great Britain, the first of the Great Britain swimmers we'll see from the host nation. Chantal Zuideveld in lane number 4, the world record holder, Paralympic champion back in Tokyo a couple of years ago. Kira Stevens, who has been performing really well, world silver medalist last year, the Australian, goes in 5, and Zhang Meng is the Asian record holder. She goes for China up there in lane number 6. So Chantal, of course, will be big favourite for this one. She's top of the world rankings this year, just ahead of Lisa Kruger, and she retired after Tokyo in 2021, but decided to make a comeback.
Well, she retired for international competition. She was still swimming with her university squad. She was enjoying it and actually still popping out some decent times. And I think now she has come back, but with a much reduced program. So we'll see her here in the 100 meters breaststroke. We'll see her a bit later on in the S10 50 freestyle. She's only swimming 2 events here at this meet. They both still happen to be on the first day. But yes, she has been, she was saying, like, she's still young, but she's been swimming for 10 years. So, and she's looking really strong as we come into these final stages.
Yeah, it's just going to be slightly faster than Kruger in that first heat in 1:14.62 for Chantal Zuideveld. In second place was Kira Stevens, 1:18.28. Zhang Meng in third, and Brock Whiston will make it into the final as well for Great Britain in 1:19.35. So looks like the 2 Netherlands swimmers are going to lead the way, Liz.
Where they expect to be, really, isn't it? And I think there are a few people, particularly Kira Stevens, that would like to try and break up that party. She's given herself a chance.
Yeah, Kira Stevens, silver medalist last year behind Lisa Kruger. Didn't have Zuideveld in that World Championships 2 years ago, but Kruger and Zuideveld have dominated this one for a few years. It looks like it's going to be another head-to-head. This is going to be a cracking race tonight.
Yeah, that domestic competition really helps, I think, bring people on. I mean, they're very different swimmers. Zuideveld, you see here, that strong start. She's so powerful. She's a great 50 freestyle, as is Kruger, but Kruger not doing the 50 here. But Zuideveld, they did some very different races, but they push each other on all the time.
They just had a great Paralympic Games, didn't they, both of them, in Tokyo. They continue to bring out the big performances at the big championships. Here is the S13 classification, the first of the visually impaired events that we will see at these championships. S13, the most sighted of the visually impaired events here. We've got S11 swimmers, we have no vision at all. S12 and S13, so you have varying degrees of partial vision. So the S13 swimmers, more sight than the S12s. And we were talking yesterday about some of the countries that have just bring kind of certain types of impairments to events, don't they? And the Uzbekistan team are one that only seem to bring visually impaired athletes. And they are good.
The ones they bring are
They
very
are
good. Yeah, absolutely.
Line up here, Muzabekov and Pankov, the 2 from Uzbekistan closest to us in 2 and 3. Alex Portal in lane number 4, and 2 Spanish swimmers in 5 and 6, Alhambra Molar and Ferran Gutierrez. Alex Portal, well, he'll be one of the favourites for this one. Silver medalist last year at the World Championships. And we were talking to his grandfather a little bit earlier on.
We were, again, he came by to say hi. Like we said, we're in pole position for everyone to come and say hello to us. This Portal, he does look, he was saying, he looks strong. He said he got 4 medals last year, Madeira should get 4 again. I'm like, that's not always how it works, no pressure. But Portal going very well here in this heat number 1.
Again, another example, this French team building up for Paris next year, and that's a good swim from Alex Portal, 56.51. Again, looking comfortable. Alhambra Moller in second position, and Ferran Gutierrez in third place. The two from Uzbekistan in fourth and fifth. So Pankov just over the 1 minute mark, with Muzabekov in fifth position. But there's Alex Portal. That looked pretty comfortable, you have to say, Liz.
Yeah, and again, he knew what he had to do, really. I mean, there's not that many people they need to drop for the final, and he is coming in second. So that lane 4 can always give you a bit more confidence, can't it, to swim your stronger, your heat under a bit of comfort. He went out quickly, he took it out, and then got himself into the position. Obviously, these visually impaired athletes don't always have the luxury of seeing their competitors coming back at them, so that does change the dynamic of how they approach the race.
And good time for him as well, just quite close to his best time of the year there, only a few tenths outside it, 56.51, Alhambra Moller 58.31, and the other three swimmers just over the 1 minute mark, so Portal should be safely into that final. 6 swimmers in this second heat. 100 butterfly in the S13 classifications. Nathan Hendricks will go in lane number 2. Another 2 Uzbek swimmers in this one. Tursunkayev in 3. Verchenko, the world champion. Big threat to France's Alex Portal. He goes in lane number 4. Aslanov in 5. Genki Saito from Japan in 6. And Philip Hedmuller in lane number 7. Verchenko, very much the favourite, but that was a decent swim from Alex Portal. I wonder if anyone's going to try and make a statement here in this second heat. And of course, butterfly, it's not a stroke you can kind of tend to take easy, is it?
No, there's definitely a rhythm to it, and there's very few people in the world that can shift through the gears of butterfly like you do on other strokes, which is why you don't see that huge drop from heats to finals that you typically see. You have to go through, like, you have to really drop a gear. Like, that's why they typically attack quickly, but and then drop off as they come in to the finish, slow that rate.
So it looks like world champion is going to be safely into this one. Oh, look at that, 56.51. Well, that's going to be interesting. Exactly the same time as Alex Portal in that first heat. Well, there we go. That set it up nicely, isn't it?
They'd settle for that tonight as well if it meant they both got gold medals.
It would. They've done it the wrong way around, guys. They should have got a tie in the final.
I do like a tie.
So Tursunkayev in second position there, exactly a second ahead of his Uzbek teammate Aslanov.
Yeah, Aslanov. He didn't let Verchenko get too far ahead, nor did Tursunkayev. And so it meant that they had a strong second 50 as well.
So 3 swimmers under the minute. Exactly the same time for the first 2. Look at that, equal first position for those 2. We'll have 3 Uzbeks in the final, 2 Spanish, 1 from South Africa, but the big 2, Verchenko and Alex Portal. Look at that. So there's some of the teams and some of the spectators as well. As we go on to the next event. And this is a newly refurbished aquatic centre, Liz, isn't it?
Yeah.
We swam here.
All right, okay, we did.
Back in the day, the big championships, Commonwealth Games.
We did when it first opened, so
when
now
we were
it's
both
reopened.
very young. And it's just undergone a refurbishment. This is kind of the first event, isn't it?
Yeah.
After it's been open, it's only been open for a couple of weeks.
And it's nice, it just looks a different colour mostly, doesn't it? Like, it used to have blue tiles, now it's got grey tiles. Pretty much the same layout. Seats look a bit more comfortable. But Manchester is a great city.
Oh, well, you lived here, look, well, you trained here, didn't you?
I did, I swam in this pool. One of the great things about this pool is it's got a great swim down pool downstairs, another 50-metre pool. So I'm in that one as well. So yeah, it's good to be back in Manchester.
So a little bit of a delay before we went on to this next race, but I think they're out now at the top end. Of course, all the races will finish at the bottom end. So the 100-metre events will start at that end, but the 50-metre events will start at this opposite end here, the right-hand side as we look at it. One length of the pool for the S5 classifications. As you said, S1 to S10, Liz, for those swimmers with a physical impairment. And S5 right in the middle of that range, isn't it?
Yeah, so you see a variety of different types of impairments of swimmers with limb difference in their arms, limb difference in their legs, spinal cord injuries, cerebral palsy. This really, the S5s and the S6s are kind of a mixed bag, but it's all in swimming. It's all about the functional ability that you have and the capability in the water, and to train to be a swimmer, which is why sometimes what you see doesn't match up to what you think you would see.
We are going to see a range of different starts as well. Some of the swimmers, as you can see, they're just starting into the water. Line up for this one: Rodriguez, Drapkin, Silva de Oliveira, Bocciardo, Ponce Bertrand and Yuan. Swimmers going from the start. Good start there from Silva de Oliveira and from Yuan as well.
Yeah, Yuan right at the top, and you would expect those two to lead out because they've got the powerful legs to get them off the block, use that 15 metres underwater, which is the fastest way to travel in a swimming pool. But then you start to see people coming back, and Bocciardo of Italy in lane 5, he always comes back strongly in the closing stages, but Juan going very well up there in 7.
Yeah, Yuan's going to take this one. It's going to be a decent time as well. Championship record for Yuan Weiyi of China, silver medalist in the Paralympic Games in Tokyo, and a great start here from Yuan. Championship record, the first we've seen. A little bit of a wistful look across there from some of the Chinese swimmers, but some of the Chinese team have got entered relatively slow times from what we've seen them in the past.
Yeah, well, I think like you that whole 3-year Paralympic cycle with the delayed games for Tokyo has meant that a lot of athletes take a restock after a games and reset themselves, and typically we'd be in year 2 of the cycle now, so they have posted very quickly, and that he did.
He certainly did. 31.63 championship record. Silva de Oliveira, silver medalist. Made a great debut, didn't he, Samuel de Silva de Oliveira last year in Madeira.
Yeah, and again,
real character.
We talk about these countries that bring in, they mix their youth with experience, and their youth really steps up and comes on and wants to be part of that success. And that is the legacy progression that we're seeing from a number of squads.
We didn't even mention Bocciardo, the world champion. He was in 3rd. Again, see the range of classification here, range of different impairments. A lot of the swimmers there, look at that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 swimmers swimming without arms, just with the use of their legs. Komarov will go from the water in lane 1. Going from the sit start in lane number 3 is Zoe Kathleen. This is one of these events, Liz, that you cannot relax in the heat. It's a very, very competitive class, the S5s. So fairly comfortable qualification for the early events this morning, not in this one.
Yeah, and again, because so many of the athletes don't have upper limbs, they haven't got the control of the gears. Again, you're either going fast or you're going slow, and like the ability to then pick it up quickly to respond is quite difficult, which is why we see them going pretty close together. But Guo going really well here in lane number 4.
Well, Guo going really well as a newcomer to the Chinese team. Won 3 golds at the World Para Series. And let's have a look at this. And it is inside the world record mark. 30.09. Wow. The newcomer from China this year has really made a mark on these World Championships. 7 100ths inside the old world record, held by Antonio Fantin of Italy. And when Fantin set that one, we thought it would last for a while, but it's gone.
Yeah, again, and it looks so strong. We said you can have a number of competitors that very much you learn off, especially if you've got that domestic competition. So we need role models, right? And we need to see someone who's done it. And we take that technique and we perfect it. And his start was good, but then he actually accelerated away from everybody else.
Oh, that's incredible technique from Guo Jincheng. Has to finish on the head, of course, but he was miles ahead of anyone there. Oh, he was coming in at some rate, wasn't he? Wow.
That's what I said, his speed was impressive.
Absolutely incredible. We've seen Chinese swimmers with this type of impairment in the past, haven't they? They've kind of set the standard for the swimmers, and you said, Liz, that if you're looking for a role model for the Chinese swimmers, wow. He had them in abundance over the years. But Guo, 30.09, incredible swim there. Wang in second place there, Komarov in third, and into the final. Well, most of the big names have made it, but it's China 1 and 2 into that final. Samuel da Silva de Oliveira in third position. Bocciardo, the world champion, back in sixth. He's capable of going faster though, Liz, but world record time, that is going to be tough to beat, and that was a sensational swim.
It was one morning, and his compatriot holding the championship record for approximately 3 minutes. We've all been in that situation before.
Have we?
Well, I definitely have. Where I broke it in heat 1, and then my competitor from the same country as me broke it in heat 2. It's okay, it's all good. But yes, I think like that. It's exciting because, like I said, they just go flat out, don't they? And hold on, and to see him accelerate away like that, that's unusual.
It was great to watch, actually, because that's the first time we've seen this man go at the World Para Series in Melbourne a little bit earlier this year. He made his mark, some great times that he has posted. But the first time we've seen him at a major championships, and what a way to start, world record. And similarly to the men, the women's S5 is an incredibly competitive game. There is Sumachi Boyachi. Been back in the news this last couple of weeks, of course, because of the release of the Barbie film, and
she has her very own Barbie modelled on her.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that movie yet, it's on my list.
There is Angel May Otom. Big hope for the Philippines to get a medal at these championships. She goes in lane number 3. Full lineup for this one. Skatini at the bottom for Canada. Gata Kupilova from Czech Republic. Otom from the Philippines. Monica Boggioni will be one of the favourites in lane number 4. Sumai Boyachi from Turkey. Irina Poida from Ukraine. And Hei Shengdao. Again, one of these Chinese swimmers swimming without arms in the top lane there in lane number 7. She got off to a good start.
She did, as did Otom, and you can see in lane 3 now, Otom actually turned over, when she came up at 15, turned onto her back. So she's got that butterfly kick going from the back. Boggioni, she'll look to claw distance back in this second half of the race. Going well up there in 6th though. Poida of the Ukraine.
Yeah, Poida coming in very strongly here, and that is a decent time, 36.78 for Poida, and that is a big improvement for her. 43.31 she was entered, she's gone a 36.
Well, that's an incredible heat swim. Again, we said sometimes these athletes just haven't had the opportunity to swim in these conditions, tapered, rested. They bring the best swims to these big major championships, which is ultimately what you want to do.
Yeah, we've seen her before in the major championships, of course, back in 2019. She went to the Europeans in 2021. of course, we didn't see many of the Ukrainian athletes. It's great technique there, as we see at the start. Somi Boachi. And there is Poida just going past Hei Shenzhou in the closing stages of that one, using her long arms, or the longer arms that she has, to great advantage in the closing stages there. 36.78. Foggioni coming through strongly as well in the last 10 metres to claim second position. Hei Shenzhou with that good start in third position, and Kupalova in fourth place in the Czech Republic. Boyachi 43.48. That's going to struggle to make that final, I think, Liz, but Boyachi, of course, butterfly and backstroke specialist, so freestyle not normally the domain of the Turkish swimmer.
No, and it's a bit like it is. You think they swim the same strokes, you're like, why not? But it's not about them. It's about the other people around them, the other competitors who could swim that for crawl style for freestyle.
Another two Chinese swimmers in this one. Lu Dong, experienced 31-year-old, was closest to us in line number one. Elizabeth Noriega from Argentina, and two Sibile Oster. There she is in line number 3. Similar impairment to Boyachi. There's Susanna Hex. Big hope for Great Britain, the host nation, to try and get a gold medal on this first day of competition. She goes fastest from the entry times, going in lane number 4. Guerrero Martinez from Colombia in 5. Yao from China in 6. Rodriguez from Brazil, and Svilecki from Greece. That's the lineup. Again, Lu Dong, seen her over the years, haven't we, Liz? Back in London 2012, made a good mark for her.
Yeah, more as a backstroker, but then she was swimming in the S6 category where there was a lot more 100-metre events, but you could see the start that she had. She held on to that advantage for quite a way. It does look like from this camera angle now that she is losing that out to Hex in the centre lane as we come into the finish.
Yeah, Hex and Guerrero Martinez taking that one. 37.68 for Hex, so the home swimmer getting in ahead, and Guerrero Martinez, big smile on the face of her. She has just gone 38.05, 41.20. And we just saw at the end there, Liz, this is a classification, of course, for physical impairments. We saw a tapper on the end of the lane for Guerrero Martinez.
Yeah, there's sometimes a tapper is for those with a visual impairment. A lot of, and then we see Hex getting out the water now. She also has a hearing impairment, so she had the light at the start. Obviously, a lot of disabled people are not a homogenous group of people. They don't all have exactly the same difference, and obviously you can also have more than one impairment type. You swim in the classification that is eligible for swimming, and gives you the best. So yeah, again, it's a good display of just the diversity that is within the Paralympic program.
That was a good contest between the two at the front there. Hext and Guerrero, and we have a disqualification. Ozturk has been disqualified in that one. So, where's that going to be there? Yao, I think, should make it. There's the finalists. 3 Chinese swimmers in the final. Kupalova makes it in 41.45. So again, it was pretty even split there in terms of the qualification, but the home nation with a good chance there picking up a medal tonight, Susanna Hex. But she's going to have around about a second to make up on Poida from Ukraine.
Poida did finish very quickly indeed, didn't she? The rate of her arms. She was just gathering speed into the wall.
So we're back to the lower numerical classifications now. 50 breaststroke for the SB2 classification. Again, we talked earlier, Liz, about some experienced campaigners. There's a few swimmers who've got huge world championship credentials behind them. Christopher Tronco in that centre lane. He's done, I think, all but one of the world championships. No, all but 2 actually. He started his career back in 2002. This is his 9th world championship. He only had 11. This is number 9 for him. He'll go from the blocks in lane number 4. There's Yannis Kostakis. Again, a man who's been a world championship before, back in 2013, 10 years ago for the Greek. Becker da Silva goes in 2 for Brazil. Ferrer Robles from Spain in 3. Christopher Tronco from Mexico in 4, Kostakis in 5, and Kausri from Thailand off to a good start in lane 6.
Yeah, this is a combined event. So Becca De Silva is swimming the SB1 category down in lane number 2. Everyone else is in the SB2 category. And again, we see the range of different strokes from that great underwater shot there. Tronco with that one leg that propels him through the water, whereas Kostakis using that double arm pull, breathing every other stroke, and then a different stroke again over up there in lane number 6. So it is a range, it's another diverse category here. But Tronco at the moment leading the way, but he doesn't have the arms to finish with, so he will be finishing with his head. So he has to be ahead in terms of body length.
Yeah, Kostakis just pulling up now. It's the head against the arms. I think Kostakis might take this one. Yeah, just by 0.3 of a second, with Christopher Tronco in 2nd position. Oh, we just saw that race play out there as we went through. Kausri in 3rd position. It looks like Ferrer Robles in 3rd place. And it will be Becca De Silva, she said, Liz, SB1 swimmer. Has more of an impairment than the other swimmers in this field. Just see that with the use of that one arm, and even that one arm is impaired from the Brazilian. And he is in now to take that one in 1:42.75, so slightly outside his entry time. But Kostakis will be pleased with that one. He'll go on to another World Championship final. 1:06.68 for the Greek. Entry time of 1:06.86.
Not bad.
Symmetrical time.
Not bad. Consistency.
Oh, we have a DQ as well. Just hearing that. Look at that finish there from Kostakis and Tronco.
Just shows how how the classification plays out, and the impairment is considered over the entire swimming program, not just a snapshot.
There's Tronco leaving the water. Liz is laughing at me because I have a. We're in the media area here. We have a cameraman with a huge lens almost in my ear.
It looks like it is in your ear.
It's okay. He's now listening to us.
It disappears into the back of your head.
We can still see the pool, just about.
There is the pool, looking good. As we wait for Heat 2 to get underway. A lot of noise bounce off that roof tonight. It'll be really good.
Yeah. There is the result confirmed there. We do have that disqualification, unfortunately, for Robles from Spain. Kostakis takes that one just ahead of Tronco. They'll be two of the favourites for the medals. There's a lineup for this 2nd heat. So that disqualification, we've got 4 swimmers registering a time from that 1st heat, so just got to lose 1 swimmer from this 2nd heat. 2 Mexicans in this one, another Brazilian. Dos Santos Araujo, what a World Championships he had. What a Paralympic Games he had in Tokyo. He goes in lane number 2. Zarate Rodriguez from Mexico in 3. Big favourite for this one will be Castorena from Mexico. He's the top of the world rankings, and said that Tronco done 9 of the 11 championships. Castorena's done 10.
Because it is a competition. And again, the average age does tend to be higher, but the performance level doesn't drop. Castorena, who's defined as one of the paraswimming legends coming into this. 18 world medals in total over that experience, and again we can see, like I said, the performance is not dropping. He looks incredible going into the final 5 meters.
Oh, you said his performance is not dropping. I mean, he's been, 10 World Championships now. He takes that one in 58.63, set the America's record just this year. 55 point is the America's record, personal best after all these years. Morigliano from Italy, clearing second position, the European champion from 2021. The Italian will be safely into that final. Barlov from Bosnia and Herzegovina. We saw the two young Bosnian swimmers on the poolside yesterday when we watched them, didn't they? Two 13-year-olds from Bosnia. Great prospects. It's great to see the Bosnian team have some swimmers here at the World Championships as well. We've had one or two over the years, but not too many. And these two 13-year-olds might just be the future for that Bosnian team.
Absolutely, they were warming up in the diving pit, but they're also company for each other. They can go through the experience and the process together, and there's something exciting about that, because swimming gives you lots of things, but I think one of the most important things it gives you is the people.
Absolutely. The experienced man is at the front of the field, 58.63. Castorena taking that one. Morigliano will advance to the final in second place, just ahead of Jonas Kostakis, Christopher Tronco, and Ismail Barlov, the young Bosnian. Just, well, very competitive there for the minor places, you would say there, but gold medal looks like it might be bound for this man, but you never can tell, can you?
Look, but we do, like again, you've obviously got to perform a legal stroke, and you've got to get your timing right, and you've got to be in the call room on time. There's lots of different elements that go into that final swim.
So that was the SB2s. We're on to the S6s now. Backstroke in the S6 classification. As we saw in the S5 classification, a real kind of mixture of impairments that we'll see in this S6 classification.
Yeah, it's very similar to the 5, just with a lower degree of impairment, so more function. But the diversity that you see in impairment types is still very, very similar to that S5 classification group.
Two Chinese swimmers in this one. The Paralympic champion is Jia Hongguan, going in lane number 5. Wang goes in lane number 6 as well. So two Chinese swimmers, Matias de Andrade from Argentina, World Championship and Paralympic silver medalist. The Argentinians got a decent squad. They've got a small squad in terms of numbers, haven't they? But they've got some good chances of medals, the Argentinians.
Yeah, and again, they've done that thing where they've been building over the over recent times, and they have got a new nucleus. They've got a breadth of experience. We saw Dani Jimenez earlier in the morning being on the team. I think this is her 8th World Championships, and so yeah, but they bring through them. But again, when you bring through these people and you give them the opportunity to go to major championships, they get the feel for it. They go home, they train because they want that, they want more, and they want to be medalists.
Just a little bit of a delay before we get underway here. Again, the Chinese swimmers have been really strong already this morning, haven't they?
Yeah, well, like we said, they tend to be one of those nations that doesn't travel the year after a Paralympics, and therefore the rankings that are on the times that are on the rankings, sorry, are not always they're not always a true reflection of what they're capable of, but it's what they've done in that following year. Because as an athlete, you do take the foot off the gas a bit after you've had a big Paralympic cycle, but because of the compressed cycle for this one, we're seeing them here now in what would effectively be year 2, but it's really year 3, and stepping up. Because again of the nature of their impairments, a lot of them, they don't have, like we said, the gear changing to go through, so they just go flat out.
And is that going to benefit some people? Some people might have thought after Tokyo, right, that's me finished now, I'm not going to do another Paralympic cycle. And then others said, well, it's only 3 years, it's not 4.
Absolutely. I think there's definitely people that are staying for one more games, because you're like, oh, it's 3 years. And obviously the Argentinians, they'll have Pan American Games in November in Santiago, so that's an incentive.
I just see different starts here, some different starting devices there, the cords for the two Chinese swimmers. They're hanging onto those cords. And look at the start here. Great technique again from the two Chinese swimmers just into that 15-meter range. You just saw the red markers on the lane ropes well inside that one. And it looks like Jia off to the best start here. And again, he's just got that one arm there, that very small arm, right arm. He's using it to good effect, isn't he?
Yeah, and I think he uses it to control his race tempo as well. And he uses it very effectively as he comes into the turn, and he will be leading the way. 35.08 for Gia. D'Andrade was over second, the Argentinian, who looked very, very different stroke. He's the opposite. He's got two strong arms, and he will build through the second 50.
You just saw the difference there, but Wang and Matthias D'Andrade just went into the turn almost together, but the Chinese swimmer with its good legs there, 2 lanes across from the Argentinian in the middle, got the advantage off that turn. And it looks like it's going to be China 1 and 2 for this one. Matthias D'Andrade is going to be in 3rd position, but with only 5 in that second heat, Liz, those top 3 are going to be safe into that final.
Yeah, absolutely. And Gia looked strong there, didn't he?
He
Controlled
absolutely
it
did.
well.
Good first line from Gia. He's a little bit breathing, a little bit heavy though. Matthias D'Andrade looking pretty comfortable there. He finishes in 1:19.23. He's capable of much faster. He's got the world leading time this year, the Argentinian, 1:17.24, so that's only 8/100ths outside that world leading time for Gia. Winning time, of course, in the Paralympics is 1:12, so he's capable of much faster.
Absolutely, but D'Andrade there getting out of the water, he looked relaxed, considering you said like Gia did look like he was blowing quite heavily, which is fine. Like, you might just be blowing away the cobwebs, you know, in the heats. But D'Andrade, in contrast, looked like he could go again, didn't he, in this next heat?
And there's the result of that one. China 1 and 2 for Gia and Wang. D'Andrade in 3rd. Daniel Videira from Portugal in 4th position. He is going to have to wait for that second heat to come. So 1:22.92 for the Portuguese swimmer. Might be enough to make the final, Liz. Here, we've got a couple of entry times in the 1:22 and 1:23 range. We know that Yang, medalist at the World Championships before in 2019, is capable of faster, the Chinese swimmer in line 6. So Gutierrez Bermudez, Sanchez Sierra, Sinovcic, Crispin, and Yang. It's quite a good heat, this one. There's Nelson Crispin. He's been on great form this year. There's Yang Hong, World Championships silver medalist in 2019, the Chinese swimmer right up there at the top. There seems to be some issue with Nelson Crispin. Look at that. Sierra Sanchez. Very high on the wall, isn't he?
Yeah, being gripped. A lot of responsibility, I always think, on the start assistants. The grip there. And Nelson Crispin in 5. This would probably be classed as his weakest of the 4 strokes. I mean, he's a great medley swimmer, but the backstroke is probably the weakest of his 4 strokes. They're up there in lane 5. Going well right at the top. In 6 is Yang. Again, that trademark sort of start that we see from the Chinese athletes with that impairment.
Yeah, very similar impairment to Gia in that previous heat there. As they go through to the turn, Sinovcic, again, one of the big hopes for a medal here for the Croatian team. He's looking to be his 3rd World Championships in a row. He won in 2022, he won in 2019, so he's looking for 3 in a row, the Croatian. He's got his work cut out here in this heat. Yang going well. A couple of lanes up from the world champion. Sinovcic, also medalist at the Paralympic Games in Tokyo, took the bronze medal behind Gia and Andrade, who swam in that first heat. But Yang is going to be into the wall first, I think. Sinovcic finishing well. Really long levers, isn't it, the Croatian?
Yeah, he built
huge
through
arm
well.
span there.
He did go through well. As we just see Crispin getting that third place touch in that heat, but Sinovic, that's exactly how he swims it, isn't it? He doesn't have the speed off the wall, he doesn't have the push off the wall, so he builds through, and he just looks like he's getting stronger with every stroke that he swims.
So a good swim there from Yang, taking that one out fast. Sinovic, there's Nelson Crispin. He'll be safely into that final in 1:22.12, just a 100th of a second ahead of David Sanchez Sierra. I think Videra will make it into the final in 8th place. Just waiting for confirmation of that result. The Chinese swimmers looking good here. It'll be tough to beat. There's the Raul Gutierrez Bermudez, closest to us, the Mexican. As the race progresses, Sinovcic on both lengths actually, Liz, the first length and in the second length. He caught up the lead of the Chinese swimmer Yang. Yang just holding him off in the closing stages to take that heat.
Yeah, actually Sinovic went into the turn really well and was around the wall, but obviously he doesn't get that push off. There's no pushes for him off that wall.
Yeah, it's a fascinating racing prospect tonight for the final, because Sinovcic is going to be playing catch up on the first length. He's going to lose it at the turn, he's going to come back in the second length. Oh, and he's right in the middle of the three Chinese there. We move on to the women's 100 backstroke S6. You're an S6 swimmer, Liz. Safe to say
definitely
backstroke.
Not a backstroker.
I was going to say, safe to say backstroke wasn't your expertise, was it?
No, definitely not, but thanks for that. I think the world already knew.
Those are the long memories. I remember you in the water.
They were long memories when I was swimming backstroke.
Ellie Marks there in lane number 4. 4 swimmers in this one. Trail Degalilo from Mexico in 2, Ellie Marks in 4, Jiang from China in 5, and Chukyang Imj from Hong Kong going in lane number 6. The Hong Kong swimmer, actually, watch out for her in the breaststroke in the events to come. Seen her much doing backstroke in the World Series this year. Middle 2 though will be the favourites, I think, there. Ellie Marks taking the Paralympic title. There's Marks. We see again, physically impaired swimmer, again with a tapper at the end of the lane, Liz.
Yeah, and you don't want someone to be disadvantaged because they also have a visual impairment, and that tapper is there for the athletes to let them know that the wall is coming, and they have an individual tapper and an individual technique. So sometimes you see tapping sticks that are almost 5 meters long, and sometimes you see them very short. But Mark's going well here, but Jiang still leading the way with that sort of butterfly drive and that single arm swim, compared to Mark's balanced 2 arms rotation, but then with only 1 leg for propulsion.
Paralympic gold and silver medalists we're looking at here. Mark's taken the gold in Tokyo, Jiang took the silver. So they've reversed the positions here. Chukyang Imj from Hong Kong going to be in 3rd position. Herself a little bit of a chance to make that final, 1:36 for her. Yeah, it's a possibility actually, it's going to be tight I think for the Hong Kong swimmer to make this backstroke final, but the leading 2 is certainly going to be there, you would think. Just waiting for confirmation of the result, of course. I think we're okay.
Well, yeah, we said a lot of the Chinese swimmers are coming in here and swimming well, and Yang, they're going 2 seconds quicker than she's been all year, so it was a very dominant heat performance. Marks and Yang, they're used to keeping each other company, right? But they can see, like, look at this turn, the tap. And again, you'll see different types of tapping stick. That's quite a long bit of foam. Marks on the head, so that she knows she's at the wall. She's arrived.
She hit the wall in 1:22.21. Did Ellie Marks. Jiang Yuan in 1st position though, 1:21.22. A lot of 1s and 2s there in those 2 times. Next one, heat number 2. Again, some big names in this one. Shelby Newkirk the reigning world champion. Verena Schott as well. Paralympic Games bronze medalist from Germany. Champion back in 2019. Grace Harvey, one of the local swimmers here from Great Britain. She goes in line number 6. Anna Hontar as well, the Ukrainian. Good record in the freestyle events. Also a medalist, silver medalist last year at the World Championships, Anna Hontar from Ukraine. And this is one of the events, Liz, we thought, you know, this is going to be a really close contest for the medals here.
Yeah, the S6 events are quite closely contested, and they always bring that entertainment. And Shelby Newkirk, she has the potential to like, well, she used to lead by quite a significant amount, but she's really brought the rest of the field on. The rest of the field have challenged. And Hontar down in lane 3, looking really good down that first 50 metres, 39.28, only 3/4 of a second ahead, but now Shelby's pulling level, well, almost level. She will be level by this 25-metre mark, and then you can see the lead change hands with those two out in front at the moment.
Yeah, Hontar, silver medalist behind Shelby Newkirk. So we saw the Paralympic Games gold and silver medalist in the previous heat. We've got the World Championship gold and silver medalist here in this second heat, fighting this one out. It looks like Anna Hontar is going to take this one. Let's have a look at the clock, 1:22.02. So Shelby Newkirk also in the 1:22 range. So 4 swimmers there, Liz, in very close proximity to each other. Third place was Verena Schott in 1:25.23. So you wouldn't count her out as well. Grace Harvey started as a backstroker, didn't she, a few years ago? That's where she made her marks. Moved on to breaststroke now, Grace Harvey. Should make it into the final in 4th position there in that heat. But Anna Hontar looked very good. She was pretty pleased with that swim there.
Yeah, I think like it was the start. It was that first 50 metres really where Hontar didn't come up first, but like again we see that high stroke rate that we've seen from a couple of the Ukrainians this morning already. But Newkirk had a really good second 50, like that last 75, but then Hontar didn't let her get ahead, because sometimes it's a mind game, isn't it? You want the touch, and she's always smiling, isn't she, Hontar? Always, you would always tell how she feels about her swim at the end of the race.
So she takes that one, delighted with that swim, 1:22 for Anna Hontar. Big improvement on her best time of the year. Shelby Newkirk in 2nd place in that one, and look at that. 4 swimmers, very close there, separated by just over a second. And Verena Schott, we know she's capable of going around about that time as well. So 5 swimmers there, I would say, in contention for the medals, Liz.
Yeah, and it does lead to a very exciting time, because you genuinely don't know which order those medals are going to go in. But it's why we see the quality drive on all the time, because they know they can't come to a meet and be guaranteed a medal.
Here's the S14 swimmers. First time we've seen the S14 swimmers, intellectual impairment. And there's a lineup for this first heat. So 7 swimmers in the first heat and 8 swimmers in the second. And there's not going to be any hanging about in this one, Liz.
Well, they can't really afford to hang about, can they, again, because I mean, you've got a bit more of a luxury in Heat 2 than Heat 1, but then in the S14 category, not so much, because you don't always have that ability to contextualise someone else's performance against your own. And so, yeah, they won't be hanging about. They might have been told by a coach prior that if you are in a certain position at a certain point, then you can do X, Y, Z. But that's the only reason, like, they come in with their pre-race plan, and that doesn't change based on what's happening in the water. But most of the time for these S14 athletes.
Well, Nicholas Bennett goes in the centre lane, in lane number 4 there for Canada. William Ellard burst onto the scene this year at the British leg of the World Para Series event, which was the British Trials, of course, in Sheffield a few months ago. Ellard swam a great 100 freestyle and an excellent 200 as well, so he's keeping an eye on Nicholas Bennett, the Canadian, alongside him. Tang from Hong Kong. It's one lane down in lane number 3. He's a Paralympic champion back in Rio in 2016. And Vanzenko, the Ukrainian, going really well up there in lane number 6. So Vanzenko, Ellard and Bennett right across there. 3 swimmers contesting for the lead in this one, Liz.
Yep, they're all in a line there as we go into the final stages of the first 100 meters. And like you said, Ellard did have a great 100. And like we saw in the SA women's event, some of the 100 swimmers going out quickly and then maybe not holding on so much down that second, like the last part of the 400. But this is only a 200, so you only got to hold on for another 100 really. And Ellard does look like he's working hard, but also Bennett is going very well. He's got that bigger leg kick. Bennett in lane 4, 1 lane closer to us of the 2 yellow lanes. But it's those 2 now, stroke for stroke into this final turn. Bennett just getting his feet to the wall first, less than 0.2 of a second in it though. As we come down, we approach the red marker that will signify the final 25 metres. Ellard looks like he's trying to wind it up now in lane 5 for Great Britain.
Yeah, he's just about edging it here, and that's a very strong stroke in the end here by William Ellard, really forging ahead. And Bennett is going to be in second place behind the Great Britain swimmer. So Ellard will take it, and that please the home crowd. 1:55.06 for him. That is a decent time, faster than he has been this year, by around about half a second. It's a nice World Championship debut for William Ellard. Chris Bennett, the Commonwealth Games champion from Canada, in second place, and Dmytro Vanzenko from Ukraine in third position. Is the 2016 Paralympic champion Tang Wai-lok in fourth place. So just the 4 swimmers under the 2-minute mark.
Yeah, Bennett not hanging around either. He went quicker than he's been this year too. So it was a, like you said, Paul, it was a strong heat. These S14 swimmers typically don't pace heats in the way that some of the other categories do. So it's always interesting then when you get into the final to see how much quicker they can go. But Heat 2 will have seen that. And but Ellard just picked it up right at the end.
Yeah, he looked like he was keeping tabs on Bennett all the way through there. Breathing towards Bennett on the way down to the turn end and down to the finish end. He was keeping an eye on the Canadian as well. So Bennett in second place, Vanzenko in third, Tang in fourth, but Ellard will lead the way in that first heat. Just see what this second heat can do. So 1:55.06 for Ellard in that first heat. Second heat on its way. We will see championship record holder Gabriel Bandeira of Brazil set that championship record last year in Madeira in 1:52.42 again. Another tough lineup here. Matsuda, Hillhouse, Catchpole, Bandeira, Jack Ireland, Chung Wong and Murakami line up for this second heat. Bandeira will certainly be the favourite, Liz. He burst onto the scene, didn't he? Just a couple of years back, and he's dominated. Does a range of events though, Bandeira, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he's an example of a swimmer that comes in with a race plan, and if the race plan around him changes, he can't respond. And we saw that in Tokyo. Reece Dunn just blew him away because he went out. He couldn't respond to the race plan, and he hasn't swum. He's not in the top 5 this year with the times, but that doesn't mean anything. So you will expect him to try and break into those right here, right now. But we've seen him win races from the outside lanes, haven't we? But going well at the moment is Jack Ireland, who's the fastest. He's the fastest coming into this year, 55.80 for the Australian in 5 there, that white hat.
Yeah, he's 1:55 this year for Jack Ireland. It's the fastest we've seen him, right about the same, similar time to that first heat that we saw William Ellard. Jordan Catchpole going well in line number 3, Great Britain swimmer. Jordan Catchpole and William Ellard actually coincident, they swim for different clubs, but they're almost near neighbours in the same village, Jordan Catchpole and William Millard.
See, there we say, domestic competition, but Catchpole going really well here. Now we see Bandera winding it up, trying to move through the field. He does like to play games, but I never know whether he's playing games with himself to see what he's capable of, or the rest of the field.
Well,
also going up in 6. Well, now is Ching as we come into the finish.
Yeah, he's not going to catch Jack Ireland here. Jack Ireland coming home in 1:56.01, very similar to that first heat. Just slightly slower than the first heat that we saw for William Millard. Bandera in second position. He came through for second place, just getting ahead of Jordan Catchpole there. So it was a good finish, but Jack Ireland looking good there at the front of the field.
Yeah, he looks strong. You can see he is breathing quite heavily, so he's obviously worked hard, which you would expect. You can't afford not to in these S14 200 metres freestyle heats. But there we can see the start. The start was pretty even. Bandera had a good start. You can see his race skills are good, but then he just really, in that middle 100, sort of stepped off the pace a little, didn't he?
We've seen him go out really slow on the 200, then come storm through at the end. It didn't quite happen for him this time. He had a little bit more ground to make up than he would have wanted, I think.
Yeah, I think, like I said, we've seen him do both. We've seen him do it the other way,
yeah.
And who knows what he'll do tonight.
Makes it interesting. Gabriel Bandera in second, but Jack Ireland, clear victory there in that second heat. But William Millard and Nicholas Bennett will lead the way into that final. Good contest between those two in the first heat. Ireland will be in third position. In fourth place will be Van Zinkel. Bandera will be out in fifth. He'll be not quite in an outside lane, but he's not going to be in the middle lanes list, and you know, it makes it interesting. Danger all over the pool.
And we have seen, haven't we, him do very well from like lane 2, lane 7. So it doesn't mean he's out of it just yet.
Absolutely not. He's got a lane.
Got a chance.
And here are the women in the S14 classifications. Very similar kind of story here. It's 14 swimmers taking the start for this one, 7 in each heat. Chung from Hong Kong in lane number 1, Marina from Canada in 2, McTurnan in 3 from Australia, 2 from Great Britain is Applegate and Fides going 4 and 5, and Kajamata from Thailand in 6, and Coronado Teixeira goes in lane number 7 from Spain. Again, a couple of experienced campaigners there from Great Britain in the middle lanes.
Yeah, I was going to say, and just turning first is Applegate. She went over first, 30.38. She leads the way. She was the Paralympic champion in London in 2012. Good longevity Jessie Jane Applegate has shown in this S14 classification, but also in this event as well.
She's won the world title before, back in 2013, so 10 years ago was when Jessica Jane Applegate took the world title in this event. And it's Great Britain 1, 2, 3 in the World Championships last year. Applegate and Fides in second and third position. Bethany Firth took the title last year, so Great Britain will be looking to repeat that feat. And at the moment, they're going along pretty nicely. Louise Fides going well in lane number 5. Those 2 yellow marked lanes are 4 and 5. 4 closest to us, and 5 the furthest away as Applegate comes into this final turn.
Yeah, McTurnan working hard for Australia there in lane number 3. It is Applegate that leads from Fides, from McTurnan. McTurnan coming back strongly now. She's working hard, you can tell she's working hard. She's got a higher stroke rate, her legs are kicking. Fides looking, she's got a long, strong stroke just at the back of your shot there. And Applegate is leading the way. Bit of a tussle going on at the top of the pool between Kajamantatha and Coronado Teixeira. But it's all been about Jessica Applegate really in this first heat.
Jessica Jane getting in there to 10.96 for her. And in second place is Louise Fides. In third position was Madeline McTurnan. So these 3 swimmers, you would expect that would be good enough for the final, Liz.
Yeah, and Applegate smiling there. That is her fastest time of the year.
She looks a bit stunned with that time, doesn't she?
She's looking for Louise's dad. I think that's
Oh, right, okay.
what's happening now that they've finished the race.
Yeah, we saw him a little bit earlier. Louise Fides' dad, he's just along from us, I think. Can't see him at the moment, but he was clutching his tickets, like gold dust, these tickets for this championship.
They are few and far between, but he got one.
He did, and he's watched his daughter qualify for that final, I'm sure. Behind Jessica Jane Applegate, she stretches away a couple of body lengths ahead of Louise Fides. Just held off the challenge of Madeline McTurnan by 4/100ths. So Applegate will be safely into that final. 2:10.96, that'll be comfortable for her. Fides in second, McTurnan in third, and Kajamata winning that close contest for fourth. So I wonder if that is going to be vital. 2:17.13 ahead of 2:17.74. Here's second heat. And the reigning world champion is in this one, Bethany Firth. Go in the middle lane, in lane number 4. Kinoshita from Japan in lane number 5. 2 Australians side by side. Paige Leonhardt and Ruby Storm, they go in 2 and 3. Elena Fall. Firth. Go in the middle lane, in lane number 4. Kinoshita from Japan in lane number 5. 2 Australians side by side. Paige Leonhardt and Ruby Storm, they go in 2 and 3. Elena Fall. Firth. Go in the middle lane, in lane number 4. Kinoshita from Japan in lane number 5. 2 Australians side by side. Paige Leonhardt and Ruby Storm, they go in 2 and 3. Elena Fall.
upper body. We'll see a technique that she's developed. We talk about all these different developed strokes and techniques that work in favour of what you've got available to you. Go well at the top there in 5. Xiao, she did a good start. As we see that front there, you see it, Goretti breathing to that right hand side. So trying to keep her body as flat as possible, taking it one step further and not lifting her head to breathe, but breathing more that you would typically see on a butterfly stroke. She's got company here down at this first length, and also adopting that stroke is Yao. And sometimes it only takes one person in the classification group to develop it, and then everyone else takes it on board. We saw that years ago in S8 100 meters butterfly. The technique was changed slightly and it worked for the single arm athletes.
Yeah, we've seen it all across. I mean, the S2s and the S1s, where we saw the swimmers getting held by the feet, Mita getting held by the feet. One person did it, and others said, oh yeah, we could do that. That worked for us. Come to these major championships, there's always some sort of innovation going on. And it's eyeball to eyeball this time. They're both breathing to that side. They're looking at each other as they go down this last length here. Goretti and Yao, they were only separated by a few tenths of a second in that battle they had in Tokyo. Goretti taking the silver and Yao taking the bronze. And look at this is a great battle here between the Italian and the Chinese swimmer. And it looks like Goretti might just have the edge here as they come into the last 10 meters. They're going to qualify pretty comfortably, but this has set them up. You know what, Yao doesn't want to give this one up, neither does Goretti. They're fighting hard to get in ahead of each other, getting the bragging right.